Hey, welcome back, everybody. We've got another video for you guys. Today is, I guess, part 5 of the teardown of my old 2012 Subaru Impreza WRX STI. Still working on the suspension. Been busy working, so today I have the whole day off to kind of get back into it and show you guys some of the progress. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys are having good luck with all your gardening and all your projects. And without further ado, let's get to mine. It's a big one. All right. Where we left off last was this guy. So yeah, we're going to start pulling off these cotter pins and disconnect this upper control arm and see if we can get this whole assembly out. And then we'll work our way around and get to the rest of them as well. And then, yeah. We'll be a little bit closer to having this thing completely disassembled. So let's get at it, and then I'll come back with some progress after I have some to show. Alright, we got another clip here. So I got the passenger side rear knuckle assembly removed. These things are no joke. This is really heavy. Got the giant Brembo brakes on there. It's really just a large housing. I mean, really the brakes, the pistons right here in the middle. This is nothing really. There's no brake pad or anything in there. It's just these little cartridges right there. They're just tiny little guys. Must be for heat dissipation or something. But I got that off, and I got the axle removed. Got the emergency brake removed. That one took a little doing, because I'm not a mechanic, so I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. So I'm just doing a little bit by a little bit. Here's my pile of tools. This isn't a how-to video. There's plenty of those. You can check out Brian's mobile one and learn everything I'm doing here step by step. And he's an expert. I know nothing. I'm just making a mess. So we're going to keep making a mess. And we're back, and we got the front one off now. This one's got the really, really big brake on it. This is a 4-piston Brembo brake. So it's a big guy. It's probably I don't know, 16-inch rotor on there, maybe bigger. It's as wide as this hammer is long. So next we're going to get these off. I'm having a real hard time with this. I broke a tool already trying to get that bolt out of there. So that's due to having cheap tools though. So we'll come back. Maybe we'll take off the driver's side and get that one ready too. And then we'll come back and see what happens. We have some more progress. I have now removed all 4 knuckles, and I did manage to save the driver's side rear one. It looks like some of the parts broke off, but the knuckle, the brake rotor, and the caliper appear to be in okay condition. Here's what's left of the axle. Bearings still spin. The rotor is not bent. However, the tire, I don't think we're going to be able to buff that out. That thing's toast. And that was not easy to get that off of there either. The wheel was bent so badly that the bolts were incredibly tight. I had to drill a hole through the top of a couple of the bolts and then squirt oil in the bolt from on top and then tighten it down and loosen it a bunch of times to get it off. And when I did, I had to stand on this because it was under pressure, and it freaking made me jump about an inch up in the air. So if I had not been standing on it, it probably would have jumped and hit me in the face, and that wouldn't have been good. So we got all 3, these 3 over here and that one there. And then amazingly, this control arm that was connected to the side that got hit, it doesn't appear to have any damage. It's not bent or broken. But the rubber right here did get mangled up a little bit, so it might be reusable. It might not. If it's reusable, great. If not, no big deal. I still need to get the one off of the other side over here. Get that puppy off, and then continue on taking the rest of this stuff apart. And once I get these all off, we can get the lower subframe supports up and out of the way, and then work on the drivetrain, transmission, and drive shafts. Alright, so we'll come back when we have some more progress. Well, we now have the entire suspension assembly removed. We've got the struts removed. We've got sway bar removed, control arms, the knuckle, the whole darn thing, both sides. So we're doing all right. I went and bought a little bit higher quality tools. They're just Craftsman, but still better than Harbor Freight. So I got that guy and this big long 4-foot 2-inch pipe, and the bolts that hold on the lower chassis support brace. They gotta have like 200 or 300 foot-pounds of force on them. I'll show you the bolts. These are the bolts I kept breaking all my cheap extensions on. Breaking these loose. They were up underneath the car, holding on this guy here. So bolts went through that and then through this guy, the wishbone, and that held it up underneath the car. And that thing was a son of a gun to get off, but we did get it off of there. So now that we've got all that stuff off, I think we're going to work on the steering rack. I think we can get that off of there now. You can't see the hand quotes I'm making though. I think that'll come out. Looks like just a few bolts holding it on there. It's been leaking for years in the junkyard. Yeah. So we'll get that off and get that cleaned up. And I think the only thing we'll have left is to disconnect the rest of that exhaust. I still don't have the right size wrenches or good enough wrenches, I don't think, to get that off of there. So we'll come back to that another time. Alright, so we're back after a few minutes. We got the entire steering rack disassembled and removed. And I have stuff in my eyes. I now know what power steering fluid tastes like. Yeah, we got that sucker off there. It wasn't too bad. It's kind of difficult doing all this stuff on my back, but I don't have the option of having a lift in the garage here. We have a post-tension slab. And if I did have a lift, you know, it would help. I think I could get the car up about 5 feet up in the air. At least I could duck down and crawl under it. But here's the rack. The whole steering rack assembly. It was covered in junk. It had been leaking for years. Here's all the undercarriage brackets and stuff too. I hosed them off to get some of the junk off because there was a lot of grease and road debris just caked on there real thick. So I just went and hosed it off. This thing I'm not going to hose off. I'm going to leave it. I'll probably wipe it down with rags and check all the boots on there and see what's going on in there, because there was something that had been leaking for a long time. So I'll see if I can figure out what that was. So yeah, we got that sucker out. So I mean, basically we could pull the motor at this point, disconnect the transmission and pull the motor out. But we're not going to do that today. I can't do that by myself. I don't have a lift, or I don't have a engine stand yet to put it on. So once I acquire an engine stand, and then I'll borrow a lift and get some buddies to help me. So there we go. There's the progress so far. Well, we've got some more progress. We got the drive shaft, half of the drive shaft removed. Right now we're attempting to remove the rear assembly, the differential, this big piece here, this large frame here. I think I have it all disconnected, so we're going to slowly lower the jack and see what happens. So it's tilting forward, which tells me that I'm not quite disconnected yet. So it looks like this shield here needs to come off, and there's probably some more stuff hiding underneath there. So we'll get into there and look, and then we'll come back, because I don't believe we're going to get this out of here. Look at that thing, broke right off. Big chunk of steel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is connected here. Under the plastic though, I can't see the bolts. There's probably bolts right here somewhere. So you see the drive shaft hanging down. And oh, we did I did manage to get the entire exhaust system finally off. So now you just see the turbo housing. A little tiny turbo. It's pretty amazing. This, from my memory, this had a lot of power. If I put my hand there, you know, it's smaller than my hand. Maybe about the size of a human heart. But this thing is all disconnected now, so I can literally pull this out. I just loosened these two bolts here for the top motor mount. And then there's another motor mount underneath here. Right there. And then another one on the other side. And if I disconnect those, then I can pull the motor out. So not too shabby. I did have to do a little custom tool making to get the bolts off from the drive shaft from under here. These guys. So I just took a couple of cheap wrenches. You know, you've linked wrenches together before, but when I was trying to get the bolts off up here, over here, it was hard to put the second wrench on without the first one falling off because I've only got two arms. So I just tacked them together. Said, heck with it. These are cheap garbage wrenches anyways. I thought they would break because I've had many other ones break and bend. So I can still cut this apart too and reuse it if I needed to. Some Pittsburgh steel. I don't know why they call it that. It's Chinesium. But whatever. I wonder if we can just yank this out of here. No. It needs to be unbolted. I see the bolts there. There's the nuts and bolts right there. There's just 4 of them, so I could probably get under there and get them. But how's the brightness changing? There we go. It looks like, oh, that's why it's tilting back. See that right there? That aluminum piece right here, that's still attached to the chassis. See that big bolt right there? There's one on either side. So I need to get those bolts off. And then I think she'll be getting closer. But I'm still going to pull off this shield. This plastic shield right here. Because I know there's some bolts underneath there with some more support brackets. This thing is really built tough. When they built this thing, it was built tough. So there was a reason I paid so much money for it in the beginning. So it's a tough car. Well built. You can tell they get a lot of roots from rally driving because everything is super reinforced. Even up here, the front end. So if I got hit right here, most of this stuff is made to be replaced. So that the fenders could collapse and take some of the impact, and then some of the hardware in here, like the support brace. And there's another one up here that could be removed and taken off. But enough about that. I think I've gone on to a little tangent here. I need to get to work. When I get under there and start tearing that apart until I have no more energy left. And we're back. And turns out we did not have to disconnect this whole plastic thing, and there was no brackets in there holding it on. It was actually disconnected. So we got the whole rear end out right here. So I'm gonna pull it out from under the car right now. Bam. There we go. The whole rear end from a 2012 Subaru Impreza WRX STI. There's the rear diff. There's half of the axle. Drive shaft, not axle. I don't know why I wanted to call it that. But this thing is a beast. This is actually ruined. Since I got hit on this side, this thing is bent. So we won't be able to reuse it. So there's a big bunch of bend pieces in it. When I took it off, the bolts, the giant bolts that were in here were bent. They're really big bolts. But we got all that off. You can see what got ripped off of the wheel too. This right here went to it's for the anti-lock brakes, for the sensors. See on this side, it's still intact. Here's the end of it. That goes inside the brakes. So there we go. There's an exhaust mount on here. Cool. So I think just the frame here, or the carriage, I don't know what you want to call it. This piece right here might be the only thing that needs to be replaced, along with the suspension on the driver's side rear, as it is mostly hammered. But I am really satisfied. We got a lot of progress. So, only thing I got to do now is pull the motor, transmission, and the fuel system. So we're gonna have fuel if I could speak correctly. Probably the fuel hard lines, then the wiring will have to be taken out because it's totally different on the Outback. But I'm really stoked, man. This has been a long journey. I've been waiting a long time to do this, and I've had a lot of time to think about it. So I don't mind coming out here and working for 4 or 5 hours and busting my hump to get this done. We still have a lot more to do in here, I believe. So we need to take out the pedals, brake pedal, and the clutch pedal. It should be disconnected. Yeah, it's pretty much disconnected. Yeah, I got all the bolts out back there. I mean, it might be 2 more on this side that I need to get to. But the wiring harness is nearly done. I just need to unclip a couple more things here in the sensor and pull this sucker out. I need to get all these computers out too, because I'm probably going to need all of those. And then, yeah, probably going to call it for the day, because not a whole lot left I can do until I get a engine hoist. So, we will call that it. I think that was video number 5. So, thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, pop those in at the bottom. And as always, keep building or tearing things apart. And try to be good to each other. We're not here for very long.